Hey, to explain the history of aviation, we must go back like forever, probably even earlier. Tower jumping was the earliest form of flying. People would climb up to a high place and then attempt to fly by putting a pair of self-made wings. Or not.
Oh my god! I believe I can fly.
Anyway, one of the earliest stories of flying is the one of Greek legend Icarus and Daedalus. In the Greek mythology, the father of Icarus, Daedalus, made him a pair of wings and he was able to fly. But Icarus flew too close to the sun and his wings burned. What a noob. Okay, now that we've skipped the crazy people, let's talk about kites. Kites are the oldest known aviation aircraft designed to gain lift from the wind while being flown from the end of a flying line. Which means kites were the first objects to fly and stay flying, long before the Wright brothers took to the skies. The first recorded instance of a kite was found in Muna Island and has been dated back to 9,500 to 9,000 years before Christ. In the 5th century BC, Chinese philosophers Mozi and Lu Ban claimed that China was the inventor of the kite. At this time, kites were made of silk and bamboo, the most commonly available resources in China. As time passed, kites were used for measuring distance, testing the wind, lifting men off the ground, signaling, and even for military operations. With the development of different cultures, kites were, and are, used for celebrations and shows all around the world. Back in the year 875 AD, the Berber Andalusian Abbas ibn Fitnas made history by being the first documented person to fly. He was around 75 to 70 years old when he did it, and he flew for a whopping 10 minutes using a homemade glider. Pretty impressive, right? Unfortunately, he didn't land so well and ended up getting hurt. But the cool thing is that Abbas Fitnas figured out that you need a tail as a rudder to control flight. This was extremely important research for future aviation advancements. Leonardo da Vinci made some contributions to flight. His fascination with flight began in the late 15th century. While his designs were not scientifically accurate, they were rational and inspired many later inventions. His sketches and notes on flight included designs for ornithopters, helicopters, and gliders, as well as a parachute. Let's talk about lighter than aircraft. You know, those big balloons and airships that can float through the air. They come in all shapes and sizes, from aerostats to blimps and zeppelins. Back in 1670, Francesco de Terzi came up with the idea that we could fly using copper spheres with a vacuum inside. Even though this design is impossible to this day to make with available materials, the concept that if you put a lighter than air gas in an appropriate sphere, the sphere will rise is absolutely correct. And let's not forget Bartolomeu de Guzmán. In 1609, he showed us that using combustion to propel something upwards was totally doable, as he indeed did in Lisboa in the same year. After Bartolomeu de Guzmán craft and the famous Chinese lanterns, in November 1782, Joseph Montgolfier started his first experiments with hot air balloons after he saw that if he dried a shirt over a fire, the shirt would inflate. Joseph made a thin wooden box, then he covered the sides and the top with a lightweight cloth named taffeta. He lit some paper on fire under the box, and the wooden box quickly lifted off. After this experiment, he told his brother Jacques, and they both got excited. They got a large supply of taffeta and cartridge that they used for holding the balloon in the ground and built a previous experiment with a volume of 27 times greater. In summer 1783, after improving the craft, they made a public demonstration. After this, Etienne went to Paris to make further demonstrations, because Joseph was shy and had an unkempt appearance. On the 19th of December of 1783, with a brand new balloon named Aerostat Réveillon, a duck, a rooster and a sheep were attached to the balloon in a basket. This demonstration was made in front of the King Louis XVI, the Queen Marie Antoinette and some other people. The flight lasted 8 minutes and covered 3.2 kilometers and reached an altitude of 460 meters. After a safe landing and the 3 animals survived, the King authorized humans to fly. On the 21st of November 1783, the first free flight was made by Pilâtre de Rosiers together with the Marquis d'Arland, an army officer. The historical flight began near the Château de la Mouette. They flew at around 910 meters above Paris for 9 kilometers. After 25 minutes, the craft landed on the Butte Auquel. Before we talk about the most anticipated topic, let me provide you with some brief yet interesting facts regarding the era preceding the Wright brothers' first flight. In 1647, the Italian inventor Tito Livio Burattini built a model aircraft called Dragon Volant, which lifted a cat in 1648. In 1716, Emanuel Swedenborg published the first paper on aviation titled Sketch of a Machine for Flying in the Air, which described a flying machine consisting of a light frame covered with strong canvas and two large oars or wings. The first successful flight was in 1793. The Spanish inventor Diego Marina Aguilera flew 300 to 400 meters with a flying machine. In the 19th century, intensive scientific study of air-than-air flight began, and balloon jumping replaced tower jumping. Sir George Cayley designed the first modern ever-done aircraft in 1846. He developed the modern airplane configuration and conducted scientific aerodynamic experiments. In 1809, Cayley published a landmark three-part treatise titled On Aerial Navigation, which identified and described the importance of the cambered aerofoil, dihedral, diagonal bracing, and drag reduction. He also contributed to the understanding and design of ornithopters and parachutes. The Wright Flyer, also known as the Kitty Hawk or Flyer 1, was the original airplane that kick-started the aviation revolution back in 1903. Orville and Wilbur Wright, two ingenious individuals, designed and flew this remarkable machine, which had a profound impact on the history of flight. The Flyer was constructed using spruce and ash wood, with wings featuring a curved shape called camber. Their friend Charlie Taylor built a lightweight 12 horsepower engine, which was connected to the propellers using a chain. Now here's the thing. Flying the Flyer wasn't a walk in the park. It relied on wing warping for control, which made it a bit wobbly and challenging to handle. So, the Wright brothers took this amazing machine for a test flight near Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. It took them 4 attempts, but on the 4th try, they successfully covered 260 meters. However, the landing didn't go as planned, and the Flyer suffered some damage from the wind. That marked the end of its flying days, and the Pioneer eventually found a home in a cozy museum in Washington. In 1904 and 1905, the Wrights made significant progress with the Wright Flyer 2 and 3, achieving controlled flights. Eventually, helicopters were made in 1877 by Enrico Forlanini. But helicopters are cringe. Just kidding. But they do not survive a full movie. Now, as with everything, cool things like planes are used to war. The first country to use them for war was Italy in the Italian-Turkish War in 1911. Some years later, in 1914, in the beginning of the First World War, Roland Garros attached a fixed machine gun to the front of his airplane. However, it was a German lieutenant named Kurt Wittgens who achieved the first aerial victory by a purpose-built fighter plane. The aviators of this era were seen as knights. Among them, one name stands out: Manfred von Richthofen, better known as the Red Baron. He downed 80 planes in air-to-air combat. But the Allies also had a contestant, René Paul Fonck, created with 75 victories. He displayed extraordinary skill and bravery throughout the war. France, Britain, Germany and Italy were the leaders of fighter plane manufacturing during World War I. These nations continuously pushed the boundaries of aviation technology. In between the World Wars I and II, many developments were made. Traditional biplanes gave way to streamlined monoplanes, crafted from lightweight aluminium. Aviation exhibitions and air races became incentives for rapid engine and airframe enhancements. Pioneering aviators, such as Amelia Earhart, captured the world's imagination with their groundbreaking achievements. including the first solo transatlantic and transpacific flights. At this time, humanity also witnessed the rise and fall of majestic rigid airships, which achieved remarkable feats, including the first lighter-than-air transatlantic crossings. However, the Hindenburg disaster in 1937 marked the end of the era of the ginormous airships. Meanwhile, gliding gained popularity in Germany as restrictions on powered aircraft development were imposed by the Treaty of Versailles. The 1920s and 1930s, Fritz von Opel played a huge role in popularizing rockets as a means of vehicle and aircraft propulsion. Instrument flight and the construction of monumental aircraft like the Dornier Doe X, which boasted a record-breaking wingspan, were also important advancements for aviation. The Comrades made significant contributions to aviation with the single-rotor helicopter and the Maxim Gorky. The 1930s marked the nascent ages of jet engine development in Germany and Britain. In 1936, Sabia Coxen was the world's first female combat pilot. She had an impressive flying career, thousands of hours, and numerous combat missions. During World War II, air combat tactics and doctrines were revolutionized. New technologies like the radar greatly enhanced coordinated air defense deployment. The Heinkel HE-178 became the first jet aircraft to fly in 1939, followed by the world's first operational jet aircraft, the Me-262, in July 1942. Germany also introduced the world's first jet-powered bomber, the Arado AR-234, in June 1943. Germany created the first cruise missile and ballistic missile. Helicopters had a rapid progress during World War II. Germany introduced the Fock-Achilles Fa-223 and the Flettner Fe-282 Syncopter in 1941, while the Sikorsky R-4 was introduced in the USA in 1942.
Designated head of the German state, signed the Act of Unconditional Surrender.
After World War II, the commercial aviation had a quick growth. The introduction of the De Havilland Comet marked a significant milestone as the first commercial jet airline. In 1947, Chuck Yeager's groundbreaking flight shattered the sound barrier. The Cold War era further developed the strategic importance of military aircraft. Long-range bombers equipped with nuclear bombs became destructive weapons, leading to the development of countermeasures. Supersonic interceptor aircraft were initially produced, but the focus shifted to guided surface-to-air missiles. The launch of the Soviet Union's Sputnik 1 in 1957 ignited the space race. In 1961, Yuri Gagarin's orbital flight showcased the possibilities of manned space travel, closely followed by Alan Shepard's suborbital flight in a Mercury space capsule. Eventually, the intense competition between the United States and the Soviet Union led to the historic moon landing by Apollo 11 in 1969. Incredible speed achievements continued to push boundaries. The X-15 set a new airspeed record in 1967, reaching Mach 6.1. The Harrier jump jet took its first flight in 1969. The Boeing 747, the largest commercial passenger aircraft at the time, and the supersonic Aerospatiale BAC Concorde made their maiden flights, revolutionizing air travel. Notably, the SR-71 Blackbird set a record for crossing the Atlantic in under 2 hours. Finally, in 1979, the Gossamer Albatros achieved a significant milestone by completing the first human-powered flight, fulfilling the dreams of human flight. In the late 20th century, Dick Rutan and Jenny Yeagers made an unrefueled flight around the world in the Rutan Voyager, and Bertrand Piccard's a circumnavigation in a balloon. Digital fly-by-wire systems improve maneuverability and reduce drag in both military and commercial aircraft. In the 21st century, we saw the rise of unmanned aerial vehicles in warfare and the appearance of low-cost airlines. The September 11 attacks and the Eyjafjallajökull eruption affected air travel. Advancements continued, including the first electric plane and the successful flight of an unmanned helicopter on Mars. In my opinion, in the future, efficiency will be a major focus, with aircraft manufacturers working to develop more fuel-efficient jets using advanced materials, aerodynamic designs, and efficient engines. The industry will commit more to sustainability. This will lead to the rise of electric planes, powered by advancements in battery technology and electric motor efficiency. These aircraft will reduce noise pollution and carbon emissions, revolutionizing air travel. Additionally, supersonic jets will make a comeback. Next-generation supersonic aircraft will leverage advancements in technology, materials, and engine design to overcome previous challenges and offer faster travel times for long-haul flights. These innovations will not only transform air travel, but also contribute to a more sustainable aviation industry. This video took many weeks to make, from researching to making the final touches. If you are still watching this video, you probably found it interesting. So, if you can leave a like and subscribe, I'll be 1% happier. Thank you.